I'm going to be doing something a little different for Just Okay Games this time. I'm going to take a look at something that was critically acclaimed but didn't sell like it should. Alan Wake. Alan Wake was developed by Remedy Entertainment and released by Microsoft Game Studios in 2010 on the Xbox 360, then in 2012 on the PC. Alan Wake was like combining Max Payne with Stephen King. Mix it with Evil Dead and then sprinkle Twilight Zone on top. It follows hit writer Alan Wake to the peaceful little lake town of Bright Falls. Bright Falls is perfectly set up as the quiet small town USA with an ominous feeling of dread just in the background. The game opens with a cutscene and a Stephen King quote and introduces Alan as a writer.
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations. They're antithetical to the poetry of fear. In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer.
He's having a nightmare where he accidentally hits a hitchhiker with his car. The hitchhiker is then turned into an entity that's shrouded in darkness, which then begins to chase you. This leads into a tutorial explaining the game's combat mechanics. It's basic stuff, really. A sprint and dodge feature along with a basic third-person shooter mechanic. Enemies are shrouded in darkness and can't be harmed until you penetrate that darkness with your flashlight. You can overboost it, which drains the battery faster. Once you get the combat down, the game sets the mood of how overwhelmingly powerful the darkness can actually be, by becoming a tornado and throwing cars at you.
I can keep this up forever!
Rolling on into another cutscene, it seems Mr. Wake is having a horrible case of writer's block with a side order of depression, and a vacation with his wife Alice is just what the doctor ordered. You're on a ferry leading the happy couple into town. The ferry ride and dialogue sets up the moody personality of a writer that doesn't want to be recognized for his fame, an overprotective publisher, and an emotionally drained wife that wants to help. It's extremely well done.
Let's act like we're on vacation. Go stand next to that old gentleman there. I want a shot of you with the town in the background.
Sure. I'll even give you a title for the shot. A city boy, moments before he got eaten by a bear.
I'm on vacation. In fact, I'd appreciate it if we could keep my being here just between the two of us. I'm sure you understand.
Fair enough. You can trust me to be discreet.
Very nice. I got a couple of really good ones. And I see you made a friend. That's cute.
Right. Yeah?
Hey, bestseller. How's my favorite writer? Are you there yet?
Barry. Yeah. We just got here.
Are the locals giving you trouble? Just say the word and I'll hop on a plane and come make sure that you're left alone, Al.
There's some blatant product placement here, but it really doesn't distract from the game. In fact, it adds to it. Once on land, you need to pick up the key to the cabin, so you head over to the Oh Dear Diner. You're going to meet some oddball characters in the diner. Superfan Rose, Officer Friendly, and two old rock singers. This leads you to the totally not shady friend of the landlord that gives you the key and a map to your cabin.
Stucky?
Carl couldn't make it. Unfortunately, he was taken ill. But I have the key for you and instructions on how to get to the lake.
Okay.
I wish you a good stay in my cabin. I'll come by later to check how you've settled in.
But wait a second. The actual landlord is trying to chase you down. I think there are some shenanigans going on here. You arrive at the cabin, which happens to be on an island in the lake, and this is where the game shows you that your wife has a serious fear of the dark.
Don't worry, honey. I'll get you inside safe and sound before it gets dark. And I've got the flashlight.
I know. I'm okay.
Alice had a phobia. The fear of darkness. I wanted to make sure we were inside with the lights on before sunset.
Honey?
Well, that's not a foreboding revelation at all, considering the main theme of the game is dark. Once you get the power on and settle in for the night, your wife wants to give you a surprise, which Alan is clearly hoping is of the naked variety. But big surprise, it's actually a typewriter.
I'm not the surprise.
This sends Alan into a rage and he stomps out of the cabin. Again, it's extremely well done and shows what a dick Alan really is.
Surprise!
Alice? What is this?
I guess I have a small confession to make. I thought maybe you could write here that a change of scenery would get you past...
Damn it, Alice, everyone
Hey, just hear me out. There's a local doctor, Dr. Hartman. I read a book of his. He has a private clinic here. He specializes in helping artists. Maybe...
So now you want to get me committed?
No, it's not like that. That's not... Alan? Alan?
Just don't! I don't want to hear it! God damn it, Alice!
Big damn shock, the lights go out and she starts screaming. Run back into the cabin and wifey has fallen into the lake and in you go after her. The very next scene has you waking up in a crashed SUV. No memory of how you got there or what happened to Alice. There's a gas station below and you have to hike through the dark woods to get there. A little ways down the path, our friendly tutorial light blows some paper at you. It's pages to a manuscript that you wrote but have no memory of writing. The first page talks of a dark man with an axe stalking you through the woods at night.
The man turned to face me. His face was covered in shadows. It was hard to make him out in the darkness of the forest that surrounded us, but the axe he lifted was plain to see. It glistened with the blood of his victim. He grinned madly. The shadows were alive, distorting his features. It was a scene from a nightmare. But I was awake.
Wait a second. I'm walking through the woods at night. Well, that's just great. This is not good. These pages provide an awesome mechanic to the game. They tell you things about the story, be it basic filler or future events. The effect is powerful. It sets up a sense of dread and a paranoia about your environment.
The Taken stood before me. It was impossible to focus on it, as if it stood in a blind spot caused by a brain tumor and eye disease. It was bleeding shadows like ink underwater, like a cloud of blood from a shark bite. I was terrified. I squeezed the flashlight like my life depended on it, willing it to stop coming any closer. Suddenly something gave, and the light seemed to shine brighter.
Most of the pages are right on your path, but others are hidden out of the way. There may be danger lurking off the linear path, but you desperately want these pages to see what happens next. It evokes feelings of being a child, hiding under your blankets. You don't want to look out for fear of what might be there, but you have to peek out because not knowing is worse. Follow the path in the woods and you'll arrive at a cabin where you can get a product placement flashlight and a revolver. A little further down, you'll notice some paint that only shows up in the light. And these areas will lead you to loot crates. Follow the path, kill the enemies, and you'll eventually make it to a gas station. A cutscene will end episode 1.
I realized I couldn't tell her what had happened in the forest. She wouldn't have believed me, and then she wouldn't have helped me with Alice.
A candy-colored clown they call the Sandman.
Wait, What? Am I watching a TV show or playing a game here? Both. Where Max Payne had a little comic strip with a film noir overview, Alan Wake chooses a TV-style ending and a previously on Alan Wake recap. Allow the great Roy Orbison to serenade you, and it'll lead you to the next chapter. The game really is a generic shooter. There's nothing new to be found in the gameplay. What makes the game fantastic is the attention to detail. The small town characters, the radio show complete with its own music.
Well, I was just outside for a breath of fresh air, and what a night. I know most of you are probably in your beds by now, but if you're still up and around, take a moment. Step outside for a spell and breathe in deep. The weather is absolutely still. The sky is crystal clear. It's like the forest is quietly breathing along with you.
Twilight Zone knockoff, complete with fake Rod Serling. Everything gets combined to make you feel like it's a part of real life, which makes it that much more terrifying. I'm not going to reveal too much of the story, because it's just too damn good to spoil. But I will show you the manuscript to Alan's previous book.
This was a late goodbye. 13 years after I'd gotten my revenge, it had finally caught up with me. It had been a long time to bear the pain. My blood painted the snow red. A gruesome slushy dissolved all the scattered painkillers and leisurely dripped down to the sewer, mingling with the bile of the city, becoming one with it. I can see them now, my wife and my baby. Honey, I'm home.
This sounds familiar to me. Is Max Payne a creation of Alan Wake? To quote Chuck Shirley, obviously I'm a god. A cruel, cruel, capricious god. I toyed with your lives, your emotions, for entertainment. Alan Wake is a unique survival horror game. Its scares do not come from broken controls, poor camera angles, or a lack of ammo. Rather, it comes from atmosphere and story. The sound design, graphics, immersion, and story pages, combined with an enemy so powerful, it makes you feel as if an F5 tornado was bearing down upon you, giving you no choice but to flee towards shelter. It's hands down, without question or hesitation, my favorite horror game. For a while, you couldn't buy it on Steam due to licensing issues with the music, but that's been sorted out and you can get it for around $15. Alan Wake is a masterpiece that should have sold better and gotten sequels. It does have a DLC called American Nightmare, but it doesn't have the charm of the main game. If you skipped over this game because of the delayed PC port, or because it never caught your attention, I recommend picking it up. You will not be disappointed. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more videos.